Hello and welcome. So, today we are going to be doing a guide on how to build Ember, because it has come to my attention that some people are having a little bit of trouble knowing how to build her, and Ember is one of the frames that I know some of you are going to say, well, hey, just build it however you want to. There are certain ways to build Ember that I would say are distinctly better than others when it comes to a couple of different attributes, and we'll get to those here very, very soon. So, let's show you something first. This is a bad Ember build. Now I know what you're thinking, well, how is this bad? Well, you look over here, you can check out the mods if you want to, but first let's look over here. So, World on Fire is probably the main thing you're going to be going for, or maybe the main reason you have chosen to use Ember anyway. And I think it's pretty well known that channeling abilities like World on Fire have their energy drain reduced by adding either efficiency or duration to your build. Now, we've kept our efficiency at about 100%. We've used a blind rage of our power strength by quite a bit in combination with power drift. Almost 180% strength, which is fairly good. Got the Firequake augment on here, which I know is very, very popular on Ember, and it is on here at this point to represent its popularity. I do think that most people will be running it if they have it available to them. Of course, a little bit of range, because you want to be able to hit enemies further away. No overextended, although I think there is a time and a place where you may want a mod like that. I don't personally find it useful. So, seeing what we see here, let's take a look at our abilities. Now right away, what I want to draw attention to is the energy drain here. We're at 1.72. Now, at this point, we don't really have any perspective. We don't know if this is good drain or bad drain. We don't know how high or low it goes. So we're going to experiment. So let's keep this in mind. And the other two things I want to draw attention to are the Accelerant Duration, 54 seconds. I'm sure that I don't need to tell you that this is excessive beyond what we could ever possibly need it for. Like, let's be honest, anytime an enemy lives more than about 5 seconds, you start to get the impression that your weapons are just too weak. The other duration, which has been buffed by our high duration build, is Fire Blast, which represents the ring of fire that's left on the ground after this ability is cast. Now, while I'm sure it is possible for this ability to sit in a doorway or a choke point or something to do damage, have you ever actually seen anyone use it, or have you seen anyone use it effectively? The only time I have ever done this is when the enemies are coming through the portal in the Void on Void Sabotage missions, which aren't happening that much anymore unless you're trying to farm Bullet Dance, which I guess is a legit fucking reason at this point. But if they come through with nullifiers, it sort of just doesn't matter anyway. The last thing I want to draw attention to is our casting cost all the way across the board, particularly our Accelerant, which is the ability you're usually going to be spamming while World on Fire is active. This will boost your fire damage from World on Fire and also any fire damage you have on your weapons. So now, let's go take a look at what I consider to be a good Ember build. Now hold on a second, this can't possibly be a good Ember build. Look what we've done, we have less than 100% duration now. Which means our energy drain on World on Fire is going to be worse, right? I mean, it would have to be, because, you know, the efficiency has gone up, but the duration has gone down by a good bit more. There's no way this is good. We've lost Firequake, and put this dumb mod. What is this doing here? And everything else is basically the same, like we have better efficiency. So, let's take a look at our abilities, and oh my gosh! Our energy drain on World on Fire is less than half of what it was before. Why is that? I've seen way too many high duration builds on Ember that there's really no reason to do, and all you would have to do to know the difference is come here to the power statistics and realize that duration affects your energy drain much, much less than efficiency. Efficiency is much better for reducing the drain. Also, we've lowered our duration on Fire Blast, which, there again, isn't really that useful. The Ring of Fire is just not that useful in my opinion, which is not to say it doesn't do a thing, it's just not worth building for. Then we take a look at Accelerant, and yet again, even though we've lost more than half of the Accelerant duration we did have, anything that lives 23 seconds after getting hit with Accelerant is either super freaking tanky, or you don't have enough damage. And having a longer duration on Accelerant is not going to help you, especially when we come over here to the casting costs for all of the powers, which are now all at their minimums. Why would you not do this? Accelerant now costs 13. Also worth noting, power duration does not affect the stun duration of Accelerant. I do believe power strength does affect it to a small degree. It depends on the level and rank of the enemies you're facing, but there again, it is not in any way tied to your duration. If you don't believe me, you can go check it out on the wiki if you need to. So now Ember is more of a force to be reckoned with. And what's the difference here? Well, we're better pretty much all the way across the board. We're 4 times more efficient on our casting, and we're more than twice as efficient on our energy drain from World on Fire. So, I think it is reasonable to conclude there's no real reason to build high duration onto Ember. So now, energy conversion. When you pick up an energy orb, the next ability you cast, with this particular build anyway, will have 220% power strength. In the case of World on Fire, it will have 220% power strength for the entire duration of that ability, literally until you turn it off, until you die, or until the mission is over. Let's go take a look at our abilities again. When energy conversion is active, each tick of World on Fire will go from 680 damage to about 900 damage. Also, if you happen to have energy conversion active for your Accelerant, you're going to get a much higher multiplier than even 4.25 on it, which means any affected enemy is going to be taking about 5,000 fire damage per tick, armor notwithstanding, which is one of the 2 issues Ember suffers from at higher levels, survivability being one, and lack of damage against armor being the other. Of course, that doesn't matter at most levels that people are willing to try to use Ember at anyway. Now, other noteworthy change, we no longer have Firequake, and this is something I'm not going to be a stickler about. If you want Firequake here, take Firequake. It's more CC. You do have a heat proc chance when you have much higher strength. It's actually above 75% when you are using energy conversion, but having a 100% chance to knock down has its own advantages, and I definitely will say, if I were taking Ember to Sortie 3 Grineer, to Sortie 2 enemy augmented armor, which I probably wouldn't do, but hypothetically, let's say that I'm doing that, or just very high level in general, this is what I would use instead. I would take Quick Thinking for more health overall, combined with her relatively large energy pool, and more CC, which is more survivability for her in general, which matters more for Ember, I would say, at higher level. When you're at low level, however, like, why did you pick Ember? It's probably to clear out and exterminate, or just generally put very little effort into level 30-ish enemies and below, which is entirely fine, but I would say in most situations, having that extra power strength is going to be more useful at just clearing out the trash mobs at low level. She also has other augments for buffing teammates, but those are more situation specific. Honestly, I would assume that you know what you're doing if you're trying to set up team synergies like that. So, I hope that anyone who has been uncertain about how to build Ember now not only knows the best way, relatively speaking, to build Ember, they also understand why you want to build Ember this particular way, aka high efficiency, no extra duration. So with that out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please subscribe if you would like to, and give me a follow on Twitch if you think you might like to watch me live on occasion. Have a nice day.